Hi, it's Sue. Thanks for joining me for today's Bible reading. It is for May 3rd, and I'm reading First Chronicles 7 through 8. Now, we are still in the middle of these 9 chapters of record of names, and it occurred to me that they may just be names to us, but to God, they're individuals that He loves. This is like a parent's proud list of children or a grandparent's list of their grandchildren, right? Each person is valuable to God. And think about it, He knows each one by name, everything about them. He saw them when they were born. He was concerned over them when they went astray and so on and so forth. So, these what the scripture says that precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of one of his saints. So, each person's life, each one of these names is so valuable to God. But of course, we know it's much more than that. Um, I just want to share a couple thoughts about this timeline here. I talked about how not timeline, the record of names, but I talked about how reading these lists sometimes helps fill in the holes in my Bible knowledge jigsaw puzzle, as I call it. I love to find those missing pieces of my puzzle. So learning the origins and relationships of some of these people helps fill that picture in. Picture a jigsaw puzzle picture. It helps fill that in, and I'm always striving to expand that picture. You know, back when I was in um, junior high school, teenager years, I had a friend and a lot of people have this tradition, but a friend who had a tradition in their family that every year during the holidays, they would get out a card table and put a jigsaw puzzle on it so that whenever people came over during the holidays, they would sit down and everybody would put in their share of pieces, just a way to kind of connect around the table. I love that tradition. But so you're continually putting in those pieces in the same way when we read and discuss the Bible together, we're kind of helping each other fill in those pieces, right? But there's a much more serious reason for these genealogies than that, which is for them to prove the lineage of the bloodlines, especially Jesus's bloodline. So I found a quote, ironically, from Bible Project. I read the article and liked it, and then realized it was from them. I love those guys. If you're new, that's the Bible Project. I usually put a link for them in the description of the overview of whatever book that we're reading. They do a really great graphic illustration of each Bible book. Really helps, again, fill in that puzzle and help us understand the books that we're reading. So let me tell you what he said, though, about these genealogies, whoever wrote this article. He said Matthew's way of showing how Jesus fulfills the Old Testament storyline is to begin with a genealogy. Okay, so this article is about the book of Matthew, but Matthew starts with a genealogy, just like Chronicles, the one we're reading. So again, he said Matthew's way of showing how Jesus fulfills the Old Testament storyline is to begin with a genealogy. You might be thinking, not another genealogy, but not so fast. Remember that the genealogies in the Old Testament are always working to communicate multiple layers of information to readers. Now, remember, that's what I said the other day. I think the depths of what's communicated hasn't even been plumbed yet, right? There's so much there. God sees it. He's the only one who sees all those connections. I'm sure the rabbis delve into that. But anyway, it says genealogies obviously trace family lines or family trees, but they also help us follow priestly and royal lines through Israel's story. You can see each of these types of genealogies in the first 9 chapters of Chronicles. In fact, there is little doubt that the author of Matthew had this book of Chronicles and its genealogies in mind when he wrote his own gospel account and began it with a genealogy. Okay, but why does this genealogy matter? Well, let's start with the opening sentence of the book of Matthew. Matthew tells us 2 key people who are most important in this genealogy: the record of the genealogy of Jesus the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. So bingo, that's the end of the quote from the article. But the gist of it all is about Jesus' heritage. It's all about this seed war spoken of in Genesis, where God said the seed of the woman, that's Jesus, would bruise the head of the serpent, the dragon. Jesus' pure bloodline had to be proven and preserved. That's what all this is about. When you get an inheritance, you have to prove it's you, right? And this is all about proving that Jesus had the right. He's the only one worthy. And so this is all part of that proving and preserving Jesus' bloodline. And that's what Matthew was getting at in his list of names in the beginning of his book. So if you want to read this article, it's short. I'll link it in the description. It's about the book of Matthew, but like I said, it has correlations to the book we're reading now. But let's get to our reading in First Chronicles 7 through 8. Verse 1. Of the sons of Issachar, Tola and Puah, Jashub and Shimron, 4. The sons of Tola, Uzi, Raphiah, Jeriel, Jamai, Ibsam, and Shemuel, heads of their fathers' houses. Of Tola, mighty men of valor in their generations. Their number in the days of David was 22,600. So see, that's how a name became a village, right? As I've been speaking of. The son of Uzi is Rahiah, the son of Izrahiah, Michael, Obadiah, Joel, Ishiah, 5, all of them chief men. With them, by their generations after their fathers' houses, were bands of the army for war, 36,000, for they had many wives and sons. Their brothers were among families of Issachar, mighty men of valor, listed in all by genealogy were 87,000. Can you imagine how developed their culture had to have been? We think of these people as cavemen. They weren't. They might have lived in tents or whatever they lived in at various times, but they were not uncivilized or unsocial. In fact, they probably had to have a very well-oiled machine going, so to speak, to work together to survive. Verse 6. The sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Jediel, 3. The sons of Bela, Esbon, Uzi, Uziel, Jeremoth, and Eri, 5. Heads of fathers' houses, mighty men of valor, and they were listed by genealogy, 22,034. The sons of Becher, Zemariah, Joash, Eleazar, Elianai, Omri, Jeremoth, Abijah, Anathoth, and Elameth. All these were the sons of Becher. They were listed by genealogy after their generations, heads of their fathers' houses, mighty men of valor, 20,200. The son of Jediel, Bilhan. The sons of Bilhan, Jush, Benjamin, Ehud, Chenana, Zethan, Tarshish, and Abishahar. All these were sons of Jediel according to the heads of their fathers' houses, mighty men of valor, 17,200, who were able to go out in the army for war. So were Shupin, Hupin, the sons of Ir, Hushim, and the sons of Aher. The sons of Naphtali, Jaziel, Guni, Jezer, Shalom, and the sons of Bilhah. You might be able to hear my dog in the background. The sons of Manasseh, Asriel, whom the concubine, the Aramitess, bore. She bore Machir, the father of Gilead. Machir took a wife of Huppim and Shuppim, or Hupim and Shupim, whose sister's name was Makkah. The name of the second was Zelophehad, and Zelophehad had daughters. Makkah, the wife of Machir, bore a son, and she named him Peresh. The name of his brother was Sheresh, and his sons were Ulam and Rakim. The sons of Ulam, Bedan. These were the sons of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh. His sister Hameleketh bore Ishhad, Abiezer, and Malah. The sons of Shemitah were Ahian, Shechem, Lehi, and Anaim. The sons of Ephraim, Shuthala, Bered his son, Tahath his son, Eliada his son, Tahath his son, Zabad his son, Shuthala his son, Ezer and Eliad, whom the men of Gath who were born in the land killed, because they came down to take away their livestock. Ephraim their father mourned many days, and his brothers came to comfort him. He went in to his wife, and she conceived and bore a son, and he named him Beriah, because there was trouble in his house. His daughter was Shira, who built Beth-horon, the lower and the upper, and Huzan, Shira. Repha was his son, and Resheph, and Tela his son, and Tahan his son, Ladan his son, Aminhud his son, Elishama his son, Nun his son, Joshua his son. Their possessions and settlements were Bethel and its towns, and eastward Naran, and westward Gezer with its towns, Shechem also and its towns, to Uzzah and its towns, and by the borders of the children of Manasseh, Bethshean and its towns, Tanakh and its towns, Megiddo and its towns, Dor and its towns. The children of Joseph, the son of Israel, lived in these. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, and Beriah. Sarah was their sister. The sons of Beriah, Heber and Malchiel, who was the father of Urzath. Heber became the father of Japhlet. Shomer, Hotham, Shua, their sister. The sons of Japhlet, Pasak, Bimhal, Ashvath. These are the children of Japhlet. The sons of Shemer, Ahi, Roga, Jehuba, and Aram. The sons of Helam, his brother, Zophah, Imnah, Shelesh, and Amal. The sons of Zophah, Sua, Harnefer, Shual, Beri, Imrah, Bezer, Had, Shama, Shilsha, Ithran, and Bera. The sons of Jether, Jephunneh, Pispa, and Arah. The sons of Ulah, Arah, Haniel, and Riziah. All these were the children of Asher, heads of the fathers' houses, choice and mighty, men of valor, chief of the princes. The number of them listed by genealogy for service in war was 26,000 men. So think about all the women and children additionally, and older men. Chapter 8. Benjamin became the father of Bela, his firstborn, Ashbel the second, Erhorah the third, Noha the fourth, Rapha the fifth. Bela had sons, Adar, Gera, Abihud, Abishua, Naham, Ahoah, Gera, Shephufan, and Hiram. These are the sons of Ehud. These are the heads of the fathers' households of the inhabitants of Geba, who were carried captive to Manahath, Naham, Ahijah, and Gera, who carried them captive, and he became the father of Uzzah and Ahihud. Shaharaim became the father of the children of the field of Moab after he had sent them away. Hushim and Bara were his wives. By Hodesh, his wife, he became the father of Jobab, Zibiah, Misha, Malcolm, Jews, Shakia, and Mirma. These were the sons of the heads of the fathers' households. By Hushim, he became the father of Abitub and Elpaal. The sons of Elpaal, Eber, Misham, and Shemed, who built Ono and Lod with its towns, and Beriah and Shema, who were the heads of the fathers' households of the inhabitants of Ajalon, who put to flight the inhabitants of Gath and Ahio, Shashak, Jeremoth, Zebediah, Arad, Eder, Michael, Ispa, Johah, the sons of Beriah, Zebediah, Meshullam, Hizki, Heber, Ishmerai, Isliah, Jobab, the sons of Elpaal, Jacob, Zikri, Zabdi, Elienai, Zilithai, Eliel, Adiah, Beriah, Shimrath, the sons of Shimei, Ishpan, Eber, Eliel, Abdon, Zikri, Hanan, Hananiah, Elam, Enothijah, Ifdiah, Penuel, the sons of Shashak, Shem, Sharai, Shehariah, Athaliah, Jereshiah, Elijah, Zikri, and the sons of Jeroham. These were the heads of the fathers' houses throughout their generations. Chief men. These lived in Jerusalem. The father of Gibeon, whose wife's name was Maacah, lived in Gibeon with his firstborn son, Abdon, Zer, Kish, Baal, Nadab, Gehor, Ahio, and Zechar. Mikloth became the father of Shimeah. They also lived with their brothers in Jerusalem near their brothers. Ner became the father of Kish. Kish became the father of Saul. Saul became the father of Jonathan. You should recognize them. I guess that's the Saul and Jonathan. Malchishua, Abinadab, and Eshbaal. The son of Jonathan was Merib-Baal. And actually, there have been quite a few we've read today so far that are notable. So if you noticed any of them, comment about it in the description. In the comment section. The son of Jonathan was Merib-Baal. Merib-Baal became the father of Micah. The sons of Micah, Pithon, Melech, Teriah, and Ahaz. Ahaz became the father of Jehoda. Jehoda became the father of Elameth, Asmaveth, and Zimri. Zimri became the father of Moza. Moza, the father of Biniah. Rapha, his son. Eliasa, his son, and Azel, his son. Azel had 6 sons, whose names are these: Azrikam, Bokeru, Ishmael, Shiriah, Obadiah, and Hanan. All these were the sons of Azel. The sons of Ishak and his brother Ulam, his firstborn, Jush the second, Eliphalet the third. The sons of Ulam were mighty men of valor, archers, and had many sons. Okay, they were archers. And sons, 150. These were the sons of Benjamin. And here's a footnote. That's the end of today's reading, but for some reason, the only footnote in that whole thing said, Beriah is similar to the Hebrew word for misfortune. So I wonder why they mentioned that. Bear with me while I just scroll back and see. See, when I'm reading from my hard copy, I don't have these notes available, but when I'm reading from my phone like I am now, it'll tell me the meaning of footnotes. So this says, okay, this is when it said that the men of Gath who were born in the land killed them to take away their livestock. They killed the son Ezer, and Iliad. And so it says, Ephraim their father mourned many days, and his brothers came to comfort him. He went to his wife, and she conceived and bore a son named Beriah, which means misfortune. So there's a little tidbit for you. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to check the description for any helpful links. And I'll talk to you tomorrow for chapters 9 through 11. Shalom.